OC. Viewer discretion is advised. Incoming transmission in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Outcasted OC, here with the NXT review. Say his name and I'll appear. I believe in Outcasted. Let's get this NXT review underway. An interesting show this week with a lot of surprises, a lot of decent, cool moments during the show. So there's a lot to unpackage here and talk about. So before we do that, I just, say, can you like the channel? Can you subscribe to the channel? If you see any of the videos, you'll get the notifications. So, buzzing. Make sure you stay tuned for the podcast tomorrow, because we're going to be doing the Money in the Bank recap. Probably going to be talking about Heat Wave there as well, because me and Ross absolutely love NXT. And this episode just shows exactly why we love NXT. So let's talk about the different championship situations, what's going on in the world of NXT, and then we're going to get to the main event, shall we? But first, let's start with the opening segment. Ethan Page obviously comes out and congratulates himself and says, it only took me 6 weeks to take over NXT to capture the championship. Trick Williams, he isn't too, far behind him. But before that happens, there's a load of security outside of the ring, because Ethan Page says he realizes that there's a lot of haters in the NXT locker room. There's a lot of people who realize that he's the man, and they don't want him to be there. So he's got security on hand, which is convenient because Aura Mensa comes out and the security drag him away. Ethan Page is very pleased with himself. He thanks the security for doing their job. Trick Williams comes out and says, basically, he wants his rematch. He wants his rematch for the NXT Championship, and he wants it tonight. Before that can be confirmed, Sean Spears comes out and says to Ethan Page, I think you owe me a thank you, because if it wasn't for me, with my obscured vision while I was pulling Trick Williams out of the ring, you wouldn't be NXT champion right now. Obviously, maneuvering, trying to get himself an NXT championship match. Javon Evans comes out and says, on a couple of occasions there, I was close. I was a hair's away to becoming NXT champion. I took my shot and I want to take another one. He wants another shot at the NXT championship, which ensues in a massive brawl. Obviously, Sean Spears fighting Trick Williams, Javon Evans fighting Ethan Page. The bad guys leave the ring. Later on, a tag team match is confirmed. We're getting Sean Spears and Ethan Page taking on Trick Williams and Javon Evans. Or are we? Because later on in the night, we get the Brooks Jensen segment where he's having a talk with Ava. Obviously, Ava is talking with Brooks Jensen, saying, you've been up to a lot of stuff lately. You're not just an NXT superstar when you're on screen. You're also an NXT superstar when you're off the screen, on social media, in the arenas, everywhere. So the actions that you've been doing lately are not what an NXT superstar is supposed to do. Brooks Jensen apologizes and he said he wished he could take everything back. Ava says, Sean and I were ready to fire you, release you from your contract, but you've got a few people in the locker room that are vouching for you, that want you to stay here, so we're willing to give you a second chance. Brooks Jensen says, that's amazing. I'm going to do my best to continue with the support system that I've got around me now. I'm going to try my best to, improve. That doesn't last long, because later on in the night we see that Brooks Jensen is attacking Javon Evans, and he has been taken out of the tag team match because of those actions. We do find out that Brooks Jensen is going to be taking on Javon Evans next week, but for now, he cannot compete in the main event. So it looks like Brooks Jensen got what he wanted in the end. He got his opportunity, but Javon Evans, not so lucky. Looks like he's being taken out of the championship scene for now, which is fine because he's only 20 years old. He's a huge talent. If he starts at the bottom, works his all the way back up, it'll probably only be a couple of years anyway. So, it doesn't really matter, I suppose. Let's talk about the second most interesting thing that happened on this show. Let's talk about the tag team division. You've got a lot of people fighting in the tag team division here for a spot, for a chance to get at the tag team champions Nathan Fraser and Axiom. There's a lot of beef being settled this week on NXT. Obviously, we've been seeing Tyson and Tyreek getting beaten down by Gallus for the past couple of weeks. That gets settled this week in a tag team match between those two teams. Gallus come out with the victory, but Tyson and Tyreek looking very impressive, showing why they belong in the NXT locker room. I predict there's a lot in future for those guys. I feel like they're in the kind of the OTM position, what OTM were a couple of months ago, about, this time last year. Speaking of OTM, we have another amazing tag team match this week where we got OTM, Bronco Nima and Lucian Price taking on the OC after weeks and weeks of the OC beating down individual members of the OTM. Obviously, we saw Jada Parker take care of business last week because of the street fight against Meechim. OTM have got the dub for now. They have got the momentum heading into this match. Lucian Price and Bronco Nima bring the fight to the OC. Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson are on the back foot for most of this match. They do get a bit of offense in, but we see that Bronco Nima is wearing a broken nose mask, kind of like the Kylian Mbappe mask or the JC Jane mask that we've been seeing lately on TV. There's a moment here where Bronco Nima and Lucian Price get the advantage because they are distracted by what is going on the outside. It looks like Meechim and Jada Parker still have unfinished business. They fight to the back of the locker room. This distracts the OC for the finishing move from Bronco Nima and Lucian Price for the 1, 2, 3. Probably the biggest upset, probably the biggest victory the OTM have had since they debuted on the NXT roster. So that is absolutely amazing to see. But I've saved the best tag team news for last, guys, because this isn't really related to a tag team moment until the end. So we get Wesley's segment. He's coming out talking about the North American Championship situation that, you know, it was the only thing that got him through his surgery recovery. He could picture holding up that championship, his hand being raised, representing the West Side, but it wasn't meant to be. He truly thought he could beat Obafemi, but now he doesn't know what to do. And when he's just about to say that he thinks he needs to take a break from NXT, some music hits that we recognise very well. TNA's Rascals show up. Obviously, you got Nash Carter that was there in NXT a couple of years ago with Wes Lee. MSK and the Rascals are all in the ring together. They motivate him. They say, "You are the greatest North American champion of all time." And I think it's about time that we restart MSK and we bring the Rascals back together. Wesley starts to get emotional and just hugs those two guys. So it looks like the Rascals are all back together in NXT, which is absolutely amazing news. That is a great trio, and they run into a bit of trouble later on in the night because it looks like Gallus has a problem that they're all in NXT. So we're getting a 6-man tag team match next week. Gallus, Mark Coffey, Joe Coffey, and Wolfgang taking on the Rascals. I cannot wait for that match. While we're talking about the championships and people try to jockey for position, let's talk about the Women's North American Championship because there's a couple of things going on in this division. Well, that and the Women's Championship as well, actually. Like the women have a lot of the show this week. But let's talk about the North American Championship. It looks like Fallon Henley is trying to get into that title picture after the ladder match a couple of weeks ago where she came up short and Kalani Jordan came out with the victory. Obviously, Sol Ruka was unsuccessful at NXT Heatwave. Kalani Jordan stayed with the championship. Fallon Henley has a problem. The fact that, if it was her in the ring with Kalani Jordan, apparently the result would have been a little bit different. So she also has a problem with Sol Ruka. This match happens tonight where Sol Ruka is taking on Fallon Henley. It looks like Sol is about to defeat Fallon Henley with a Soul Snatcher when Fallon Henley is saved by JC Jane and Jasmine Nix, and there is a 3-on-1 beatdown where Jasmine Nix hits the Pele kick, and it looks like there's a little group forming. We've been seeing this for the past couple of weeks, but it's going to be interesting to see what happens here. We see a little bit of this earlier on in the night where Fallon Henley is like, I'm sick of these rookies. I'm sick of all of this, taking up the show. This also comes from the fact that JC Jane and Jasmine Nix were looking at the match that was taking place against Ariana Grace and Carmen Petrovic earlier on in the night. So Carmen Petrovic gets the victory here with a beautiful kick to the back of the head from Ariana Grace for the 1, 2, 3. I was a bit surprised that Ariana Grace didn't come out with the victory in this match, to be honest with you. I love Ariana Grace. I think she's incredibly talented. I think it's only a matter of time until she holds a championship in NXT. But Fallon Henley hits Carmen Petrovic from behind. She gets out of the ring and then moans to JC Jane and Jasmine that she is sick of the rookies in this division. So it looks like there is another trios forming. We're getting Fallon Henley, Jasmine and JC all working together. A possible new version of Toxic Attraction. Only time will tell. We also get a Heritage Cup match on this show. We have got We got Lexis King, who for some reason is obsessed with music lately, like, you know, like White Snake, Led Zeppelin, you know, all those are the real bands, and what Eddie Thorpe does and listens to is wrong. EDM is wrong. I mean, I kind of agree. I'm not a big fan of EDM, but, you know, like, you know, each to their own, Lexis King. Leave him alone. But what he's more focused on tonight is the Heritage Cup. So Tony D'Angelo defends it against Lexis King tonight. Round 1 and round 2 do not start very well for Lexis King. Tony D'Angelo hits the forget about it. I forgot about what I was about to say. So, you know, I was kind of channeling it in a Tony D'Angelo. He hits the forget about it for the 1-2-3. He is 1 up in this match. Lexis King cannot get focused. Do you know why? Because he has no one in his corner, unlike the Tony D family. Booker T is moaning about that the whole night. Not sure why he doesn't just get up and, you know, get in Lexis King's corner. And the second reason why he can't focus is because for some reason, during this Heritage Cup match, Eddie Thorpe is on the balcony of NXT, the famous NXT balcony, DJing between the rounds, and I'm honestly not sure why. I get that Lexis King and Eddie Thorpe have a bit of a rivalry going on at the moment, but I just thought this was odd. I thought it was really odd. So every time the round finishes, Eddie Thorpe doesn't even really play music. He kind of just scratches, like, he scratches and, like, you know, he makes the weird, like, noises. I'm not a DJ, okay? Like, you know what I'm talking about, though. Like, so he does that, is what I'm saying. He does that, and I just think it's a bit odd. So anyway, Lexis King manages to get back into the match. He hits a coronation for the 1-2-3 and gets even with Tony D'Angelo. However, it's not meant to be, because in the 4th round, Tony D'Angelo manages to hit a huge spine buster and gets the second fall. Tony D'Angelo is still your NXT Heritage Cup champion. It's going to be interesting to see where that Heritage Cup goes, where Tony D'Angelo manages to take that Heritage Cup in the future. Who is going to be challenging, who is going to defeat him for it. I'm quite liking the fact that Tony D'Angelo is holding this cup. I did not think that he was going to be the person to really elevate this cup for me, but in my opinion, the rounds really suit the way that Tony wrestles. I did not think that was going to be the case, but it's nice to see. What else are we talking about? Oh yeah, let's talk about the Women's Championship for a moment. Obviously, Roxanne Perez, you don't see her on the show. You don't see Lola Vice either. However, Chase U are having a couple of conversations about championships, and Ridge Holland mentions while Andre Chase and Riley Osborne and Duke Hudson are waiting for the tag team rematch that, you know, he said they stole the show at Heatwave, which they did, in my opinion. He also went to Ava's locker room, or office, whatever you want to call it, and he requested that Ava give Thea Hale a match tonight against Izzy Dame, and to get her back into the championship picture, because he feels like she deserves and she is ready for another WWE Women's Championship match against Roxanne Perez. Obviously, last year she went against Tiffany Stratton and Andre Chase threw in the towel. That started a whole problem for Chase U, which we have discussed on this channel in a length. So Thea Hale is very excited about this. He also mentions to Duke Hudson that while he was in the office, he also got Duke Hudson a NXT North American Championship match next week against Oba Femi. Now, Duke Hudson doesn't really look very happy about this. Riley Osborne even goes on to say that Oba Femi is going to destroy Duke Hudson, which is not very sportsmanlike, which is not very, you know, my fellow team member, you're going to kill it. So, like, you know, like, Riley Osborne, show a bit of support for your boy Duke Hudson, the MVP of Chase U. Have a bit more faith, please. We get more of an expansion on this in a match tonight, like I said, against Izzy Dame. Thea Hale is taking on Izzy Dame. There's a moment in this match where Izzy Dame is just absolutely dominating for, like, most of this matchup until we get, oh my god, what is her name? What is her name? Her name is, like, totally just flew out of my head. You know the weird stalker lady? Her. What's her name? Anyway, you know the person who was obsessed with championships? That's going to really annoy me that I've totally lost her name. Like, it's totally just gone into the ether as I'm recording this video. Anyway, the stalker lady, who is usually obsessed with championships, comes out to distract Izzy Dame. Izzy Dame goes to attack her, and she runs into the ring post. This obviously allows Thea Hale to hit a diving tope onto Izzy Dame, get her back in the ring, and get her into the Kimura lock for the tap-out victory. Now, I was quite surprised that Izzy tapped out in this moment, to be honest with you, but I'm glad that Thea Hale gets the victory. I love Thea Hale. I think she's great. I think she's one of the best things about NXT. I think she's one of the best women's competitors in that roster. So I'm definitely wanting her to get back into the NXT Women's Championship situation. And while Chase U is celebrating, Obafemi appears on the famous NXT balcony and says, you know, Ridge Holland was begging for you to have a championship match against me, Mr. Hudson, but you are going to regret that because basically I'm going to destroy you. That's what he says. Duke Hudson says, do not underestimate the MVP of Chase University. Next week, I'm going to give you a classic Andre Chase U ass whooping. I can't wait for this match next week, I'm not going to lie. I think it's going to be great. I really cannot wait for it. I think it's going to be one of those matches that's going to be a sleeper, as in it's going to be a match where you don't think there's going to be much of it. Like, you know, for the people who are not really familiar with Duke Hudson or like Obafemi. But Obafemi's a big guy. Duke Hudson's a big guy, but they can move. Both of them can really move, especially Duke Hudson. He also mentioned in this promo, probably his best promo of like his entire NXT career, by the way, that a Hall of Famer, Trish Stratus, has her eyes on him. Apparently, she was giving him a lot of praise over the weekend. So fair play to Duke Hudson catching the eyes of people in the backstage area in the locker room because he fully deserves it. Duke Hudson has grown as a competitor over the past couple of years. I am loving what's going on with Duke Hudson. But guys, let's talk about the main event, shall we? Let's talk about the main event. Tag team match. Shawn Spears, Ethan Page, NXT champion, already in the ring. Trick Williams comes out. He doesn't have a partner. Or does he? Because we've been getting clues about it all night, guys. Vic Joseph was talking about how Booker T's a hater in London, Paris, Tokyo, America, Scotland, and Canada, and Mexico. You have got Gallus talking about the fake Scottish guy, and they say, don't say his name. You've got a couple of people backstage saying, do you believe? Well, I believe. You know why? Because Joe Hendry is in NXT, and he is Trick Williams' partner. Now, I'm not even saying this tag team match was amazing. It was kind of your standard tag team match main event. But it was just the atmosphere of the fans loving the fact that Joe Hendry was there. Trick Williams obviously has a massive reaction as well, and Shawn Spears and Ethan Page do their do their thing. They're the heels, they're the bad guys. You know what I mean? They do well. There's a point in this match. There's a point where this match comes to an end where Aura Mensah, who is somehow not seen by the referee, drags Ethan Page off the apron, and them two run into the crowd and start fighting. So Shawn Spears is all by himself. Trick Williams is down on the outside. So Joe Hendry gets his momentum going. He hits the big DDT out of the corner. He throws Shawn Spears out of the ring. Shawn Spears gets hit with a flash knee, gets back in the ring, and then Joe Hendry hits the finisher for the 1-2-3. Joe Hendry gets the pinfall in NXT, and the celebrating Trick Williams, Joe Hendry celebrating. And what could you ask for? Joe Hendry, is this more of Joe Hendry in NXT? Is this him maybe signing over to NXT? Is this him going for the NXT championship because he's just pinned the champion's partner? Only time will tell. But I do just want to mention at the end of this video, guys, we had a couple more returns in NXT this week. We saw Ava coming out of her office talking to Cedric Alexander. It looks like Cedric Alexander is in NXT, and he said he's looking forward to putting in that work. Stevie Turner apparently arranged that. Robert Stone one-ups her, apparently. I don't know if this is a one-up, but he one-ups her, apparently. Gets on the phone and says, oh, you just round the corner? Just come round, we're here. Ashante the Adonis shows up in NXT and goes into Ava's office to say, let's make some money. Ashante the Adonis apparently has been overlooked, and it's time to show people what is up. I don't know. Ashante the Adonis in NXT? It could work. I think it could work. Even if he's put with a faction, I think it could work. Maybe with OTM. You got Jada Parker there, representing in the singles division for the women. You got Bronco Nemi and Lucian Price in the tag team division. You've got Ashante the Adonis in the singles division. Let's get that going. I'm absolutely down for that. Let me know what you think in the comments. Let me know what you think of NXT in general this week. Did you like the appearance of the Rascals? Did you like the appearance of Joe Hendry? Did you like the appearance of Cedric Alexander and, Ashante the Adonis? The Adonis. That's a hard name to say while you're saying it quickly. Yeah. Let me know what you think in the comments, guys. Make sure you like the video. Hit the thumbs up, subscribe, and click that bell so you don't ever miss a video, guys. If you like what we are putting out, make sure you look at Courtney's review of Monday Night Raw from yesterday. If you also like that, make sure you check out my NXT Heatwave review from Monday and Courtney's review of Money in the Bank from Sunday. Make sure you stay tuned for tomorrow for the Money in the Bank recap for the podcast. It's going to be an amazing podcast. And make sure you stay tuned for Saturday morning, where you're going to be getting a SmackDown review from either G or Ross. But for now, guys, I hope you have an amazing Wednesday. I hope you have an amazing the rest of your week. I hope you enjoyed NXT. Thank you very much. Peace out.